This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Thursday, March 25th, 2021. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, after more than 2 months in office, President Joe Biden finally holding his first news conference today, amid questions of what took him so long and how will he perform. Big tech executives go before Congress again today as conservatives and Christians continue to warn they're being censored by the online tech giants. A sign of the times, the growth of a form of new online currency. We're going to hear from a Bitcoin billionaire and whether Christians should invest in this new digital cash, which could be used against them in the end times. And they're a major Cinderella team in the March Madness college basketball tournament. But the coach of Oral Roberts University is keeping things in perspective with a gospel message. All those stories and more are ahead in today's edition of CBN NewsWatch. We begin this half hour with President Joe Biden finally holding his first long-awaited news conference on his 64th day in office. It comes amid questions about why it's taken so long for him to stand before reporters and answer rapid-fire questions. CBN's White House correspondent Eric Phillips brings us this look at what we can expect.
The president's long-awaited appearance could be one of the most analyzed, given all the talk leading up to it. It will be seen as a test of his ability to think on his feet under pressure, a test some believe Biden has purposely avoided, although the White House says he's just been laser-focused on his agenda for America.
Before God and all of you, I give you my word. I will always level with you.
It's a promise brought up often by the president and his team.
When the president asked me to serve in this role, we talked about the importance of bringing truth and transparency back to the briefing room.
But some insist that hasn't happened.
Why hasn't he answered questions from the press at this point? Is it just that he's too busy?
I think he's answered questions, I believe the count is almost 40 times. So, and I would say that his focus, again, is on getting recovery and relief to the American people.
During a recent interview with ABC News, the president was seemingly candid.
So you know Vladimir Putin, you think he's a killer?
Mm-hmm. I do.
So what price must he pay?
The price he's going to pay, well, you'll see shortly.
He was very direct.
Yeah. On every single issue.
But some say a calm one-on-one or answering shouted questions while walking is not the same as facing the media music in the briefing room.
The president is somebody who has been kept on a pretty tightly constricted messaging streak lately.
He hasn't yet to hold a single official press conference. That is now officially the longest a sitting U.S. president has gone without a press conference in over 100 years.
Many have speculated as to why. Some wondering if the West Wing is leery of the president making gaffes like this one.
And I want to thank the former general. I keep calling him general, but the guy who runs that outfit over there.
Whatever the reason for the timing, it sends a message from many that is opposite of transparent, especially when the White House won't call a crisis at the border a crisis.
Children who are frightened and crying, overcrowded conditions. Now that the public has seen that, is that not a crisis?
Well, children presenting at our border who are fleeing violence, who are fleeing prosecution, who are fleeing terrible situations is not a crisis.
When will reporters be allowed to tour facilities holding children who cross the southern border?
We remain committed to transparency.
CBN political analyst David Brody says during today's press conference, he and others will be watching and listening to the questions as much as the answers.
Because I think there's going to be a lot of scrutiny as to who he's calling on and what type of questions are asked. I do expect, obviously, quite a few stumbles from Joe Biden, but the bar couldn't be any lower for Joe Biden. Unfortunately, that's not a good thing.
During the campaign, critics said the president employed what they called the basement strategy. And because of COVID, the American public had an appetite for that sort of behavior from then candidate Biden. But now, as President Biden, there's little tolerance for even the hint of him avoiding the media. Eric Phillips, CBN News.
Democrats are pushing ahead with their massive election reform bill in the Senate after a similar bill passed in the House on a party line vote. The measure would increase federal oversight of elections, increase voting by mail, do away with voter ID, and much more. Republicans say it would amount to a federal takeover of elections, which are supposed to be controlled by the states. And they say the Democrats are trying to change the rules in their favor so they can stay in power.
This is a power grab. It's all about trying to take over the American election system. I would like to ask my Republican colleagues, why are you so afraid of democracy?
The bill is already running into roadblocks, and Democrats so far do not have the votes to pass it. President Joe Biden says Vice President Harris will oversee the U.S.-Mexico border, including a surge that's put thousands of children in U.S. custody. And video is showing what conditions are like there. Heather Sells is on this story.
As the border crisis escalates, President Biden is putting the vice president in charge.
When she speaks for me, doesn't have to check with me. She knows what she's doing.
The work will not be easy, but it is important work. It is work that we demand and the people of our countries, I believe, need to help stem the tide that we have seen.
The president blames former President Trump for the mess, which has led to 16,000 children in U.S. border custody. But Trump ally Lindsey Graham says the Biden administration has lost control.
This is not Trump's fault. That's a bunch of BS. This is policy choices that were ill-conceived that have blown up in Biden administration's face.
Just released Border Patrol video shot last week reveals cramped conditions. This facility, meant to hold 250 people, now bursting with close to 4,000. Children seen sleeping on the floor under foil blankets. On Wednesday, members of Congress toured a new facility for unaccompanied teens. On Friday, 18 senators will visit the Rio Grande Valley to see for themselves what's happening. A Trump public health order allows the U.S. to quickly return adults and families stopped at the border. But Axios reports that Homeland Security numbers show officials sent back fewer than 15% of families last week.
So these are people literally crossing the border illegally as adults that are being released into the country, or that are 17 years old that they're actually transitioning to another relative that's in the country also illegally and saying show up for a court hearing 2 years from now, which obviously most of those folks don't show up for the hearings.
Senator Graham said Thursday that cartels are taking advantage of U.S. asylum policies, promising the very poor and desperate they'll have no problem qualifying. Graham's new bill would force them to apply for asylum in their home countries.
The asylum system is being gamed. The Secure and Protect Act will stop this.
In recent weeks, the administration has made more than 10,000 beds available near the border, with plans to open new facilities, including military bases in Texas to house teenagers. Heather Sells, CBN News.
We have a follow-up to a story we first reported on earlier this week. AstraZeneca insists its COVID-19 vaccine is strongly effective after a government report questioned its research. The drug maker says it recalculated data from that study and concluded the vaccine is 76% effective in preventing symptomatic COVID-19, instead of the 79% it reported earlier in the week. Some experts said the new data from the company was reassuring, and the information was likely solid enough for U.S. regulators to approve the vaccine. Coming up, the CEOs of a social media giants are heading to Congress today amid questions over how they handle free speech and misinformation on their platforms. As conservatives and Christians have complained, they've been censored online. We're going to have that story for you when we come back.
Yeah, buddy.
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
The top executives of Facebook, Twitter, and Google will face a new grilling by Congress today, focused on their efforts to prevent their platforms from spreading falsehoods and inciting violence. The latest hearing comes as conservatives and Christians continue to warn social media giants are censoring them by shutting them out, shattering their right to free speech and killing their contributions, and raising the question, who will they go after next? Paul Strand brings us the story.
For decades, LifeSite News has covered family abortion culture with no issues on the web and social media, piling up millions of clicks and views.
We've been, operating normally forever and ever. Our YouTube channel had 315,000 subscribers. We had millions of video views a week, every week.
That's now falling to pieces as big tech cracks down on LifeSite News. After giving it 3 clear warnings, YouTube completely banned it in February for a COVID-related video featuring a Catholic bishop.
All he said was that, he wasn't going to take this COVID vaccine because it was abortion tainted.
YouTube guidelines state YouTube doesn't allow content that spreads medical misinformation that contradicts local health authorities or the World Health Organization's medical information about COVID-19. Google News has also booted LifeSite News.
We had a lot of traffic from Google News. We're off there now, completely. No appeal process allowed.
Views and clicks have fallen big time, and so have donations.
This has affected us in major, major ways. Losing an audience of 315,000 subscribers and literally millions of views per week is quite substantial.
People shop and sell and go to church online.
Dan Gaynor, from his position at TechWatch and the Media Research Center, sees deplatforming hurting tens of thousands.
It harms their businesses. It harms churches and Christian groups who want to reach you build up an audience, and then suddenly it's just, the rug is pulled out from under you and you can't reach your people. If we are not allowed online freedom, then we become third-class citizens in a society where everything is done online.
The thing is, private internet companies aren't bound by the First Amendment, and they're usually covered by immunity from something called Section 230 of the Federal Telecommunications Act. Critics, though, are calling on the FCC and Congress to change that so that at least big tech could be sued if its deplatforming and censoring hurts someone. Meanwhile, it goes on, with Gaynor saying the deplatforming went hyper after the election, beginning with the big tech booting of Donald Trump.
President Donald Trump was removed from 17 different platforms. They concluded that if they can do it to Trump, they can do it to all of us.
Gaynor's conclusion?
Systematically, big tech is turning technology into a club to be used against people who dare disagree with them.
Google denies this, saying in a 2018 media statement, giving preference to content of one political ideology over another would fundamentally conflict with our goal of providing services that work for everyone. Gaynor disagrees, and he warns this cancel culture trend is moving from big tech to places like banks, credit card companies, and law firms, cutting off conservatives. Gaynor and Weston advise these and other potential targets to build their own alternative infrastructure and systems.
And that means web companies and lawyers and search engines and social media companies and all of those links along the chain.
But it's really, really important that people have these alternatives and do the reach outs now to alternatives where you can get to.
LifeSite News has learned a hard lesson.
That YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, they really don't have the best interests of freedom at heart. They are going to come after you.
Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Still ahead, also from the world of technology, a sign of the times, the rise of global online digital cash systems known as cryptocurrency, led by the digital money known as Bitcoin. CBN's Gary Lane talked to a leader in this field who helped to start one of the cryptocurrencies himself. We're going to hear what he thinks about the rise of this new financial system. We've got that for you right after this.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
You may remember him as a child actor appearing in such hit movies as The Mighty Ducks and First Kid. Those films were popular more than 25 years ago. Today, Brock Pierce is an expert in cryptocurrency, the online digital money. He's the founder of Blockchain Capital and co-founder of the cryptocurrency called Tether. Should Christians avoid investing in digital currency because it may be used against them in the end times? That's a question. Appearing on this week's episode of The Global Lane, Pierce discusses the global cryptocurrency revolution and answers the question, are you really a Bitcoin billionaire?
I view life like a game of sorts, and I've gone into the options menu of life and I've chosen my own adventure, and I measure my success in life by the impact I have. So a billionaire to me isn't someone with $1 billion, but it's someone who is focused on positively impacting the lives of 1 billion people. And so in that regard, I certainly feel like an aspirational one.
And I know you do a lot of humanitarian work in Puerto Rico, but I want to talk to you today about cryptocurrencies. They've certainly taken off in value, popularity in recent years. So how likely is it, in your opinion, that we're in the final days of the dollar and hard currency, money that you can actually hold in your hand, being replaced by cryptocurrency?
Well, technology is clearly changing the world. Things are definitely becoming digital, and money will be part of that change. And so we are at the late stage of capitalism. And we are watching, the writing is on the wall. There are some very real issues, and we will eventually have to pay the piper. And But it's not, this isn't the end of the dollar. I play for Team America. Therefore, I am supporting the dollar. I'm doing everything I possibly can to support our reserve status in the world because of the impact it has on our lives. The U.S. dollar is the foundation of our economy. It is the foundation of our nation. If something were to happen to the U.S. dollar's reserve status, it would have a major, major negative impact on all of our lives, businesses, and government. And so I'm doing everything I can. You mentioned that I co-founded Tether. That was an attempt at digitizing the U.S. dollar, giving it the same powers as Bitcoin, utilizing Bitcoin's technology that we call the blockchain. That digital dollar is doing over $100 billion a day in transactional volume, over $40 trillion a year. Over 70 governments in the world are testing pilot projects to use this concept to see if you can enhance your currencies at a central banking level with technology. China is a couple years ahead of the rest of the world with their Chinese digital yuan that is there to challenge the U.S. dollar's reserve status. And that's part of the reason I ran for president of the United States. It's part of the reason why I get up every day to inform our elected officials, because it is imperative that America stays at the forefront of innovation. We are it, and let's not lose it.
In India, that country is close to banning all cryptocurrency. Your thoughts about that? Can we have it one day and then it's gone the next?
Well, I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but governments can clearly legislate and pass laws and make rules. And we're living through the fourth industrial revolution. Change is the only constant in the universe. You can't stop change. The question is, are you going to be a part of it or not? The future is going to happen to you or with you. I think India is making a very bad decision for their future, and it will impact many lives. And I know why they're doing it. India has very strict currency control laws. And the reason why Indian real estate is what it is and the economy is in the state that it is because Indian people can't get their money out of India.
I'm sure you're aware of the concerns that many Christians have about the end times, a cashless society, and cryptocurrency eventually being used against them. What do you say to allay their concerns?
Well, I'm a man of faith. I'm a man of God. And I think that we're living through very challenging times. And how we transact and what we give power to matters. I'd say, where does value come from? Why does a dollar have value? Value comes from consensus, because two or more people agree that something has value, therefore it does. If you're the only person in the world that believes something has value, then it has sentimental value to you and you alone, which means that value comes from belief. Value comes from faith. This is the first time in human history where we have an opportunity to choose what we give value to, what we believe in. And so I pray that you stay conscious and you are aware and you choose those things that are on the side of goodness and love, because God is that.
Okay, Brock Pierce, thanks for being with us, providing those insights today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And for a look at more important trends and stories beyond the headlines, be sure to check out The Global Lane. You can watch it this evening at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, and you can find it on the CBN News Channel. Coming up, Oral Roberts University shocked the college basketball world by making the Sweet 16, but their coach had a message about what and who is really important in life. We'll hear what he had to say when we come back. Stay with us.
Having sex before you marry is a bad idea.
Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire. Monday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, Award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Thursday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
College basketball's March Madness NCAA tournament rolls on with the Sweet 16 in the next few days, and one of the teams who scored a huge upset win to get there, Oral Roberts University. The Evangelical University shocked heavily favored Ohio State and then Florida to become only the second number 15 seed ever to make it to the final 16 teams. But despite their amazing run in the tournament, Oral Roberts coach Paul Mills put things in perspective and brought in the gospel message while he did it.
In 100 years, none of us will be here, okay? And what our guys need to understand is we're really not that important, and you need to know that. As much as I admire Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., there aren't 3 people who gather every Sunday to celebrate his greatness. So we're not going to sit around and act like we're great. Now, 120 million people gather every Sunday, 180 million on Easter, to celebrate one name, and that is the name of Jesus Christ. And so to be at an institution that honors that, there is no other name under heaven and earth which man must be saved. To be at an institution that honors that, and we can give them something to celebrate, but at the same time, we are not that important. And our guys need to understand that. I do. They're teenagers, early 20s. But by the same token, we are so thankful for the support and the people because we want to do this the right way.
And to that, I'll add this Thursday thankful. I hope you will join me in this prayer of gratitude. Father, thank you for loving us enough to long for a relationship with us. You gave your only son to reconnect to us with you. We want to live lives that demonstrate our hearts, giving that love right back to you. With that prayer, I encourage you to make today a thankful Thursday. That is a wrap for this edition of CBN News Watch. Thank you so much for watching. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about any of the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We certainly would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for your company today. We look forward to seeing you right back here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody, and God bless you.